Do you like the Dreamcast? I love the Dreamcast, that's why I'm on a mission to complete every game on the system. There are almost 300 English language releases, and I want you to join me in my adventure to completing them all. The games are chosen at random. Last week we looked at 102 Dalmatians. This week was supposed to be Marvel vs. Capcom. Look, this is me talking about Marvel vs. Capcom, but a little birdie told me that apparently there's a new South Park game coming, and also a new season of the TV show, so I thought, why not have a little tie-in for this week? I could use with the algorithmic gods, doing me a favor once in a while. Marvel vs. Capcom will be next week, don't worry. South Park Rally is one of two South Park games on the Dreamcast. I decided to go with this one because it's definitely the one that's mildly interesting. It was released in the summer of 2000 and about 6 months after it arrived on other systems. Another really late release on the Dreamcast, not doing its image any favors. It was published by Acclaim, who the creators of South Park rather disliked due to their 3 early South Park games being quite terrible. And it was developed by Tantalus Interactive, who I came to know of thanks to their work on the Wii U HD version of Twilight Princess. Yeah, Nintendo gave them the responsibility with one of their flagship franchises. This is a kart racer, kind of. When booting up the game, you'll be greeted by a few modes. While it's probably way more fun in multiplayer, I have to be getting on with one of the single player options, and the best looking one is Championship mode. After choosing that, we get to select our driver. There are tons of characters in this game. Even during the early seasons of the show, they had more memorable characters than you could shake a stick at. For replayability's sake, most of them are locked from the beginning. I'm only doing this once though, guys. I settled on Kyle because he seems the normal one, right? I don't know, it's been about 20 years since I watched South Park, or any TV for that matter. So we have our first event, and it's going to give an indication that this isn't quite the Mario Kart clone that we thought it was. Each event takes place at a date in the calendar, and we go from the start of the year until the end. And this first event is January 5th. Don't know what's special about that, but it's not just a simple race because the track is not linear. There are multiple routes to go through, and you have to hit checkpoints rather than laps. Hit 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order, and then that counts as one lap. The trouble is, they aren't in that order, so you're gonna have to go it through a super weird fashion. It's kind of interesting. The first lap, I didn't really get what was going on, even though there is an explanation before the race, but I just ended up following the rest of the cars before it started to make sense to me. And this game has a lot of weapons and power-ups, and if there's one thing that most other kart races fail at in terms of polish compared to Mario Kart, it's the power-ups and the weapons. And yeah, it's janky as hell here as well. But variety is good. There's attack dogs that paralyze you for a bit, your classic farts to go faster, and you can even send hookers off to do something. I don't know what they do, but it's quite mildly amusing. The first event, a bit of a cakewalk to be honest. Despite slamming dead into a wall, I got first quite easily. But the strength of South Park Rally is in its variety, because it's not just a racing game, it's more like a party game on wheels, because Rally Day 2 is a capture the flag type of scenario. There is a trophy planted somewhere on the track. That trophy needs to be picked up and then taken through checkpoints 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that order. The player who's carrying the trophy when it reaches the 4th checkpoint wins, so theoretically, I only thought of this when looking back at my footage, you could just camp out at the 4th checkpoint, wait till some doofus brings it over, and then T-bone them to snatch it for victory. It's risky if you miss it, but at least it saves endlessly chasing someone you're unlikely to catch. I actually lost first time, goddamn Wendy, the little Miss Perfect. The bad news is, despite being called a championship, there's no points to be gained. You either win or you don't progress. The good news is that you can retry the same event, but the caveat being that you only have 5 credits, so I just lost a credit on the second event, and there are 14 events in total. In the second attempt, Wendy gets it first again, but I'm ready for her. Bam, it is mine. So I have to race it to checkpoint 1. I'm looking at the little map and I get super confused because it turns out the shortcut is in fact a railway line, and I panic. I'm all flustered, making wrong turns, and Wendy snatches it from me again briefly before I get it back. And after I get it past the first checkpoint, I gain my composure and get some space between myself and those chasing me before bringing it in for the win. Event 3 is still in January, but mad cow disease is infecting everyone. There's only one cure on the track and you need to hold it until you're fully cured. You can see the percentage go down the longer you have it. Man, this was long. Mr. Garrison got one hell of a head start getting down to the 60s, but after that, Bebe got it down to the 60s, and Jimbo got it down to the 60s until eventually I was bringing it down for the win. Until I got to 2%, then that man Jimbo, what a party pooper. He gets it back. I've got to be honest, I was swearing more than the characters in this game, seeing Jimbo's percentage go down to single digits, but luckily someone else paralyzed him enough for me to tap him in the back and get it for the win. That took like 10 minutes. February 14th is Valentine's Day, and we are in Big Gay Al's mansion. Oh boy. This has to be the most finicky event because not only do you have to collect one item and keep it, but you need 2 items at the same time. Cupid's arrow and Cupid's bow. And not only that, but once you have them, you need to shoot the other contestants with it. Every single one of them. That is tough because it's absolute chaos and you can barely keep one of them without a power-up being pelted at you. Never mind getting all the parts, then doing a 180 turn to play a game of chicken. The first time I played this, I didn't even have a clue what was going on, and it was over before I'd even barely touched one of the items. I lost another credit. I should probably talk about the presentation at some point, and I think it's not too bad. It's a 2D cartoon, not really meant for 3D, but the developers did a decent job of conveying the characters and world of South Park, even if some of the locations I question as to whether they're in the actual show. There are loads of characters that look okay, they have unique cars, and it's bright and colourful. The voice samples are also good and plenty. I don't think it's a great looking game by any means, and the animation is a bit rough, but I think they did it enough justice. A decent job. Anyways, back to Lover's Day. The second time, I kind of got to grips with it, but this is by far the most difficult event in the game because it's so chaotic and the opponents are not forgiving whatsoever. It was a marathon 10 minutes round where I tried to be a bit sneaky, ambushing them, but they didn't really fall for it. And at the end, 3 players only needed 1 more hit to win. It was tense as hell, but I did eventually manage to pull it through with Big Gay Al taking one in the face. Just as a dog would have paralyzed me to prevent me from the win. That was close. March 9th, spring cleaning. Grab a piece of underwear, then do 3 laps via the checkpoint system. It's like the trophy one, but instead of 1 trophy, there are now 3, leaving more possibilities. Maybe I got super lucky on this, but I found it to be incredibly easy. Barely even breaking a sweat. I don't even think I got hit by anything. Event 6, you need to bring 10 chickens to the finishing line, but you can only carry 4 at a time, and they randomly spawn on the map. I did this so fast. And mostly down to cheesing it because you can actually steal the other opponent's chickens. So this little pit fella was carrying 3 chickens, but I hit him and stole them right next to the line. I found this out by mistake, but after that I just camped here and got this done in a minute. Technically I finished it quicker, but definitely had to be more engaged with the event compared to the underwear one. It's just pure skills. Cheesage. April 15th is Easter and you have to collect 20 eggs. This time you don't need to take them to the finishing line, and it also explicitly states that you can't steal them from other contestants. That's a pity. The only thing of note about this is that the eggs are moving for some reason, and there's also an evil horror game bunny roaming around to steal eggs from you. That's not cool, man. The next event, well, it took a good minute just to keep rereading the intro just to make sure I understood what it wanted me to do. You have 4 lemonades swirling around you. You have to deliver them to the checkpoints. The only issue is, the order of the checkpoints is random, and only called out once the previous checkpoint has been reached, and only 1 person can secure said checkpoint. It's Chinese New Year. It's fireworks everywhere. So you have to be the first person to reach the announced checkpoint 4 times. At first I was a bit headless and it was hard to keep up, especially since I wasn't like 100% sure where the next checkpoint was without getting my bearings on the map, something which the AI didn't need to do, so I was essentially chasing without any hope of arriving first. I could almost see the credits being sucked away, but something happened. Something that's never been done before. I was clever, but I'm not sure I like it. Although it was good for this playthrough because when checkpoint 4 came up, I could see it's absolutely miles away from the others, like way out there. So instead of chasing the uncatchable, I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna hang out at the back because whichever the next one is, I'm definitely gonna be the first one there, like easily. And after that, it was them idiots chasing me. And I got all 4 on my first go. What a comeback that was. Next event is essentially the exact same as the trophy one, but in a much more difficult arena. I have no idea why this one took 11 minutes, like nobody could keep hold of it long enough to get to the later checkpoints in the level, but eventually I did manage to do it, it just took a while. 4th of July, just like the first event in the game, do laps in order of the checkpoints. I actually really ballsed this up first try. I was just all over the place, not going the optimal way, and I could see the writing on the wall, so I decided to lose a credit and reset. I got it the second time though.
You guys are lame. I win.
October 31st, Halloween, a dentist's favorite festival, and it's all about collecting candy and taking it to the base checkpoint. You can only carry 4 at a time, and there is no goal amount, you just have to have the most after 4 minutes. Although this was super tight. Ike was with me all the way, and when the time was up, it was actually a draw, so the goal changed to the first to 10. We both needed 1, but thankfully, when that happened, I was right next to the line with 1 in hand. That's kind of lucky. November 25th, apparently that's Thanksgiving, so we need to murder some turkeys. God, I haven't eaten turkey in at least a decade, and I love goddamn turkey. It's just, I live in China, Chinese people don't eat turkey for some reason, which is weird because it's chicken but better. Collect 20 turkeys, then hit the bell in the middle of the track. Simple concept, but I got annihilated. That old bastard called Mephisto hoovered up 20 of them when I'd only got 12. That was worrying, and now I was on my last credit. Second time around, I found a decent spawning area for them where the other racers didn't bother going so much, but it was still super close, with Pip ending up getting 19 of them. Oh.
Sweet, you're all a bunch of losers.
Christmas Day, obviously Jesus has to be in this race, and this is exactly like the trophy race, down to the same track, except instead of a trophy, it's a Christmas present. Should have been much easier than it was, thanks to me chickening out of a one-on-one against the snowplow thing, chasing Damien half the race before getting him, then slamming straight into a train, which is not exactly what I would say, is smooth. But at the third checkpoint, he gets absolutely mullered by a school bus to hand the gift to me literally before I take it home for a more comfortable win than I thought. It's New Year's Eve, December 31st. This is similar to mad cow disease cure where you have to hold onto the object as long as possible. This time though, instead of having a percentage, you need to hold onto it for 2 minutes, which could go on quite a while if the competition is high. Right from the off, I'm a bit worried because the route I take is completely different from the AI, and they generally know the most efficient route to go. But I do manage to get the key first, just about, super close, and I take the chance to just drive around the edge of the map rather than go through the dangerous bits in the middle. And it's a tactic that seemed to work. It massively confused the AI, they didn't really know how to approach me, and I nearly got away with it were it not for that pesky Kenny fella who took it away from me for the grand total of 9 seconds, and I got it back and I won. That's it, game complete. We get the shortest victory lap ever as it cuts off before anything interesting happens. I did manage to unlock a bunch of characters somehow, and there's plenty more to go, but I am calling it a day. So, what do I think? Well, despite all the crap reviews it got back in the day, I mildly like it. I mean, I understand the reviews, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't enjoy it because I did, a little bit. Not amazing, but it was interesting to have a kart racer that wasn't just a kart racer. In fact, it was trying its best to be anything but a kart racer, more like a party game on wheels. Some events worked better than others, but playing Capture the Flag, Hot Potato and such in karts with the South Park license, it was okay. Of course, I didn't buy it, so maybe I don't feel the $50 burn, but as a rental back in the day, it'd been okay. I think it was fun. Probably even better multiplayer. It's janky in some places, but a little bit of polish here and there could have made it pretty awesome. In terms of fun, I'd give it a 6 out of 10. In terms of presentation, it uses the South Park license, okay, They could have done much better in some places, but the voice acting is great, sound effects, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10 there. In terms of difficulty, The limited credits had me worried, but in the end, I came out of it unscathed. I'd give that a 4 out of 10. Completion time, 1 hour and a half. If you watched all the way through, what a legend you are. If you did watch all the way through, leave me an emoji which you think would be the best and funniest way to kill Kenny. And of course, thank you to my Patreon supporters for believing in me. They get lots of great stuff. They can watch these episodes a week earlier than everyone else. Next week is definitely Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, I promise. And don't worry, you can watch it right now with the link below. Shout out to my super producers, Alexander Cato, Brent McLean, FF14 Best RPG, Vey, Sven Nowlertz, Wixit, Josh Foot, and Germonic.